Out near Hazel Patch, there's cabins tucked deep in the woods, places where men stay alone. And sometimes they don't wake up right. They come to gasping, paralyzed, scratch marks across their chest. Can't move, can't scream, can't breathe. And when they do get their breath back, they swear they saw her, the one that sits on your chest till your soul tries to run. They call her the Night Hag. Well, howdy again, friends, and welcome back to Kentucky Melody, where the dark don't need no reason and some spirits don't knock before coming in. Tonight, we're heading to the heart of Laurel County, to an old way station town called Hazel Patch, a place where weary men once stopped for shelter, and sometimes never truly slept again. Hazel Patch weren't much more than a crossroad once, just a passing through kind of place. Trappers drifted down from the mountains with pelts still bleeding. Loggers trudged in from the ridges, shoulders raw from the whip of saw teeth. Stagecoach men pulled up in the dust, their horses foaming, eyes rolling wild. They'd rent a bunk in one of the crooked cabins that leaned along the trail, a place to lay their heads before the road swallowed 'em again. But somewhere along them nights, the whispers began. Men who'd bed down bone-tired would bolt awake without moving a muscle. Their eyes were wide, glassy, their lungs fighting like they were drowning in their own breath. Their arms wouldn't lift, their jaws locked shut, and always, something heavy pressed against their chest. She sat there, pale as tallow, skin stretched tight over sharp bones. Her hair hung in wiry ropes, spilling across their faces, the smell of damp earth and mildew creeping into their noses. Her eyes, black pits with no bottom, drank in their terror, and her mouth pulled into a grin too wide, teeth long and jagged like she'd gnawed her way out of the grave. Sometimes she leaned close enough that the men swore they felt her breath, cold as creek water, spill across their ear. Sometimes she whispered things they couldn't rightly repeat, words twisted in a tongue that clawed at the edges of their mind. Other times she just sat, her head cocked in a crooked tilt, staring. And when the spell finally snapped, when their bodies lurched free and they gasped air back into their lungs, they'd stumble to the wash basin only to find raw, deep gouges scratched across their chest and throat. Marks that burned and bled like claws had been digging in all along. They began to call her by name, the Night Hag. But who she was, what she was, that's where the tales get darker still. They say the Night Hag weren't always a monster. Long before Hazel Patch was nothing more than a scattering of shanties in the pines, she was a woman, a midwife. When the nights were cold enough to freeze the smoke mid-air, when no preacher could cross the ridge and no doctor dared face the snows, she was the one they called. By lantern light, she walked the trails, her shawl pulled tight, her hands stained with herbs and soot. She brought children into this world in cabins barely standing, her breath fogging the air above the mother's cries. But then, the babies began to die. One was born with lungs too weak to draw in the night air. Another gasped and choked, strangled on the cord. One came out still as stone, never crying, never breathing. And folks in Hazel Patch started whispering. Whispers curdled into accusations. Said the midwife's hands weren't blessed but cursed. Said she'd struck some dark bargain, given breath where it didn't belong, snuffing it out where it did. They claimed she brought forth the spawn of shadows, that her touch marked the cradle with death before the baby even quickened. It didn't matter that winter was harsh, that sickness had claimed plenty before her. The town needed someone to blame, and she stood there with blood on her hands. Never mind, it was the blood of women she'd tried to save. One night, they came for her, torches in their fists, hatred in their eyes. They gave her no trial, no preacher's word, no prayer. They drove her into the snowstorm, the wind howling like wolves. She stumbled, half blind, clutching the last child she'd tried to deliver, a limp little body wrapped in rags. By morning, they found her frozen stiff, half buried in a drift at the edge of the holler, her arms locked around that babe like a coffin's embrace. But death didn't settle her. They say her spirit rose where her body fell, and it roams still. She creeps into cabins, lean-tos, and bunkhouses where men lie and sleep, safe, warm, dreaming they're beyond harm. That's when she kneels across their chest, pressing the breath from their lungs, dragging her black eyes inches from theirs. Some say she does it out of vengeance, punishing the children of those who turned against her. Others say she's still searching, hunting for the life she never saved, or the soul that was ripped out of her arms in that storm. Whatever her reason, one truth remains. She don't care who you are, your sins, your innocence. None of it matters. If the night hag sits on your chest, you'll feel her cold weight, and when you wake, you'll wear her mark. To this very day, men who take their rest alone in the cabins around Hazel Patch tell near the same tale. It starts the same way. A sudden waking, stiff as boards like the life's been pinned out of 'em. They can't move, can't shout, can't do nothing but listen to the thumping in their own chest. Some see nothing but the dark, thick, and heavy, pressing down like a blanket of earth. Others open their eyes, and there she is, perched across their chest, hair dangling in ropes, her grin spread ear to ear. And some never wake again. The rangers tell of cabins found locked from the inside, windows scraped raw with claw marks deep enough to draw splinters. In one, a man from Indiana was found sitting bolt upright in his bunk, his eyes wide, glassy, still staring at something that weren't there. His heart had quit in the night. His fingernails were torn bloody, snapped down to the quick, from where he'd clawed at his own throat like something invisible was strangling the breath right out of him. Doctors talk their science, call it sleep paralysis, a quirk of the body, a dream gone sour. But the folks living near Hazel Patch, they just shake their heads. They know better. They say when the wind cuts sharp through the cracks in a door frame, when it winds through the keyhole like a baby crying in the cold, that ain't just the night air. That's her, the night hag, already inside. Was she cursed? Wronged by jealous tongues and winter's cruelty, or something older, born of sorrow itself, left wandering in the frost when her body gave out? Whatever she is, she ain't finished, and she don't wait for an invitation. She comes on her own, slipping through cracks, keyholes, and the places where breath hangs cold in the dark. So, have you ever woken in the night, your body frozen, eyes wide with the weight of something unseen pinning you down? Felt it watching from the corner of the room, or caught the burn of scratches you don't remember making? Maybe you've already met her. Tell us your story in the comments below, or send it straight to KentuckyMelody.com. We're always listening, especially after midnight. And if this tale crawled into your thoughts tonight, do us a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe, and share it with the one person you know who never sleeps easy. We'll see y'all next time, right here, where the old nightmares never die and the dark still walks beside us, on Kentucky Melody.